Let's face it, when it comes to releasing new music, more specifically a new single, it can be stressful, exhausting, and usually pretty terrifying. We spend all sorts of time, money, and resources putting together music that we truly believe in, and the thought of it completely flopping and no one actually hearing it is impossible to avoid, and for good reason. With well over 60,000 new songs uploaded every single day to Spotify alone, it can feel like an incredibly steep mountain to climb, without boatloads of money for promotional services and paid ads. But I'm here to tell you it's not as impossible as it might seem to have a successful release as an independent artist. And I'm talking about actual success, not just running up your streaming numbers, and you'll understand what I'm talking about in a second. Also, if you take your music career seriously, I need you to do two things. First, take notes. Second is to pay attention to the very end of this video. One thing that's going to keep you stuck is by skipping around and letting your tiny attention span control your life and keep you distracted from ever actually accomplishing anything. All right, so let's talk about your ecosystem, right? All of the things that you need in place in order to support the actual music. The first would be distribution of your audio and visuals. Now, if you're planning on releasing to Spotify, for example, as most of you will, you'll want to submit your single to distribution at least a week before the release date. And if you're wanting to submit your single to playlists or blogs, I suggest scheduling the public release date out 2 to 4 weeks to make sure that you have time to actually reach those playlist curators. But I'll talk about that more in a minute. Now, as I'm always talking about, you can distribute your single or full-length album projects to all the major streaming platforms using a service such as DistroKid, and I highly recommend it. This video isn't sponsored or anything, but DistroKid is awesome. We recommend it to all of our students. So if you're interested in signing up, you get the best possible discount pricing over at distrodiscount.com. Now, when it comes to your visual content, I'm not talking about having a full-fledged music video ready for distribution at the same time as your music. However, it's super important to have a well-thought-out game plan in place to release photos, videos, all that stuff to support the new music release. It's a common mistake to release the music and then wait 8 months before dropping a new video. By that time, the momentum is already gone down the frickin' toilet and the window of opportunity is closed. I want you to avoid missing out on potential exposure as you get those visuals ready either by the release date or shortly after. Now, all that promotional content should be in a calendar and make sure that you have a clear plan of attack. This is going to help you stay organized and consistent with all your promotional actions. Now, to promote your new music release on social media, you need to have a plan of attack before you launch it, all the way through it being released. This plan should involve what you'll do before launch, during launch, and then after launch. By doing this, you're going to create more excitement and interest around your music release. You'll also be able to connect with your fans and new followers on the preferred social media platforms. Now, when you're creating your content calendar across platforms, think about the 3-week rule, right? Pre-launch, launch, and then post-launch. Okay. Now, I say platforms of choice because I really don't believe that you have to have a big, huge following on all platforms unless you have a team working for you. Now, I usually suggest just choosing 3 platforms that you're really comfortable with and really focusing your energy on building those. Again, there's a rule of 3. Choose 3 main platforms to grow on and focus your single release on those. Another thing to think about is using automation to help you with your music release planning. My team and I use Later.com. As I've mentioned before, Later.com isn't a sponsor. I have no link for you. They didn't pay me to say this. There's a ton of automation platforms out there. We just like Later.com. Go check them out. So using an automation platform can help you save time and focus on other things while it works in the background. It's like having a part-time employee in your business that does some work for you. You'll have more time to connect with your audience when your new music is released by using tools like this. Later.com works like this, just for a heads up. It allows you to pre-write and schedule posts on almost all social platforms. You could just sit down on a weekend, for example, and prepare each phase of your single release. Here's a good way to get your fans excited before your music is released. Ask them to join your mailing list. If you don't have a mailing list yet, you can use a service like MailChimp to get started. MailChimp has a free membership that has a lot of features, and you can create a landing page right in MailChimp or put up a sign-up form on your website. By the way, having a website is a good idea too. It allows you to look more professional, and you can put all your social links over there. Now, you can make the website as easy as you want with a service like Wix or Squarespace, which neither one of those are very expensive. So, what we do in order to build that list is by offering up early viewings on maybe your upcoming music video to anybody who's part of that email community and signs up for your list. You could promote behind-the-scenes content for list members that you don't share with the public, early access to discounts, maybe upcoming shows. It's whatever you feel like your audience is going to resonate with the most is a reason to get them to sign up for the list. Now, from there, you could just have to follow through on what you tell them you're going to get because integrity is everything. Email marketing is going to be a huge part of your success, and it blows my mind how many musicians completely overlook that side of marketing. So just practice, test out different ideas. Building an email list is going to give you direct access to your audience, which is really powerful, especially if you lose access via social media or something. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to submit your music to Spotify playlists and blogs, it's a good idea to upload your music a few weeks before you release it to the public. There are a couple reasons for this. Now, first, a ton of people are sending their music to these curators, and it takes them a long time to listen to all the songs. Even though you'd think it'd be a fun job, which I'm sure it can be, these people have really big jobs to do every single day. So it's important to give them time to listen to your music and prepare them to maybe add it to a playlist. Now, secondly, blogs and playlists want to feature new and exciting music that their fans haven't heard yet. It's like when news stations try to break big stories before anybody else does. So if you give these curators early access to your music, they're more likely to put you on their platform. Submitting your music to blogs and playlists can be done in a few different ways, so there isn't just one step-by-step tutorial to follow. So you do have to do your due diligence. You can use a service such as Submit Hub or find curators' contact directly by saving a bunch of money, actually, by using like Playlist Supply, which I'll include a link in the description box below. It's like an awesome search engine tool, and you can then reach out manually. One thing I want to throw in that I think is super important, and I've mentioned it before, is that you guys copyright your music. Get it registered with a pro if you really believe in it and you're excited for the release. By registering your song with a music performing rights organization, aka pro, you can make sure that you're protected and you can receive payment if your song becomes popular and gets played on radio. You're still going to earn money from streaming even if you don't register your song. However, registering it ahead of time is going to help avoid problems in the future and give you peace of mind. This way, if anybody tries to steal your song or gets it played on the radio, you've already done the due diligence and you've had it taken care of. Quick disclaimer, for the record, if you've recorded and created that music, then you already own the copyright, right? Technically, you have copyright protection on your intellectual property, which is that music, but by submitting it to the Copyright Office, you're going to officially register it as copyrighted to you. So again, peace of mind. Also, like I mentioned, Pro is a performing rights organization. The two that are biggest is ASCAP and BMI, but there's also United Masters and CSAC. So this is where most people fall on their faces, so listen up. Most people spend all their time and resources working to release one song, right? They think that that one song is going to be the magic key to their fame and fortune. It's the finish line. That's typically how most independent artists release music. And it's also why most tend to fail. Now, can one song change your life? 100%. People win the lottery all the time, but if you want to go full-time for a long time, you'll need creative consistency. So after we plan and schedule a release, it's super important to start preparing the next one. Every major artist who has found long-term success does this. Music is meant to be shared and enjoyed, and as creators, we have a responsibility to provide more for our audience. Releasing consistent singles helps maintain success and build momentum. Without new material, you can lose momentum, kind of have to start over every time you want your audience excited again. Now, I'm not saying that you have to act like a robot or a factory, but we should be consistent with those releases. The great thing is that once you've built up a fan base, now they crave the new music from you. You can actually slow down your releases, which sounds a little counterintuitive, but that gives you the freedom when the demand is there. Adele would be a great example of that. Now, in a perfect world, you should be releasing a new song every 6 to 8 weeks, give or take, right? 3 or 4 weeks on when you're releasing a new single, 3 to 4 weeks off when you're pushing content interruptions and just sharing normal music and brand building content. Doing everything at the last minute is not a good way to build a successful music career, guys. Planning is so important here. And if you don't plan, most likely you're not going to do very well. I've mentioned this before, but you can give yourself an advantage by looking at your data on social media to decide the best day to release your new music. Now, I've talked about this before, but most major artists release their new songs on Fridays because Billboard does their tracking from Friday to Thursday. So that's their week, right? By releasing on Fridays gives those artists a full week to have their stats tracked. Now, this might actually be the best strategy for you. If you have a full-time job, super busy, maybe you're in school, so you can actually work that weekend to promote and be active with your audience and the promotions. Now, another option is to release on a Monday or Tuesday, as I've mentioned before, because that gives you less competition to promote since everybody usually posts on Fridays. So keep both strategies in mind, as well as knowing the upcoming holidays or major social events that could distract the people from going to your music. Want to hear a crazy statistic? Even though earlier I stressed the importance of watching this entire video through,
pay attention to the very end of this video.
I know that right now, less than 40% of the people who started watching this video are still with me at this point. That means, like, if you're still here, you already have a big advantage that I want you to celebrate. So in the comments below right now, I want you to make a promise to yourself that your next single release will be successful by saying, my next single will impact lives around the world. And I hope that this video educates and inspires you to follow through on that promise. Okay, so after you've got your single release all planned out, you have your content ready to go, you've submitted your songs for playlisters, and you're mentally in full-blown release mode, you'll need to reach out to your followers to help you promote your single. You can create a pre-save message for pre-launch, and then during the launch week before the single releases. Once your single is live, create post-launch messages to send to your followers to stream your single. I'm not talking about spam. Now, another tried and true way to get your followers to follow through on actually supporting the single is to offer them something after they follow through on a task. So, for example, if they share a single to their Instagram story or use your audio on YouTube, TikTok, Reels, whatever, you could send them merch or a sticker, just something even hand-signed. Goes a long way. As always, just make sure to follow through on what you promise your audience, right? So when you release a new song, it's a big deal, and I want you to make sure that you have the right plan of attack to get the most attention possible. I don't want any of you guys wasting your money on shady promo companies or paid ads to just run up your streaming numbers and don't actually build a fan base. Paid ads can be helpful sometimes, but we'll talk about that in a different video. Like it or not, the music that we release is just part of the bigger picture. The music itself isn't what builds careers. The fan base that grows around the music, around our personal brands, is what allows us to open up opportunities to make a living with our music. Now I'm going to leave you with this. You can go spend a bunch of money on ads, boost your streaming numbers, but those streams won't even cover the cost of the ads. Worse than that, even if a single does 1 million streams, you're going to make, what, $2,500 to $7 grand? Which might sound like a lot for some of you guys until you realize that it would only take 84 people contributing $10 a month through something like Patreon to earn 10 grand. The music is a tool to build attention for more music, and in the process, these listeners need to become fans, because fans are the ones that fund your career. Now go out, release your music with a plan. Let me know if there's anything else I can help you with. And speaking of, watch this video next if you need a little bit more help gaining attention on social media. I think it's really going to benefit you. If you found value in this, click the little subscribe button. If you haven't joined the channel family yet, come connect with me over on Instagram and TikTok. This is where I'm most active. I'll be reading your comments below, and thank you for watching.